Thanks for joining us. This is our extended interview with Brad Stevens of Outsource Access, where he helps empower business owners to take advantage of the many benefits of working with virtual assistants. The first part of this video is from our GNGF Live that happens every other Wednesday. The second part here is the bonus extended interview where we dive into a lot of the tactics and more of the benefits that he talked about with virtual assistants and how Brad grew from 3 employees to over 100 in just a few months. If you already saw the live, I'll put the timestamp to the exclusive extended interview below. And make sure you like and subscribe so you can follow along with our great conversations on legal marketing and the business side of running a law firm. And to watch this video on the platform of your choice, you can find it everywhere we stream at gngf.tv. Welcome to GNGF Live, your bi-weekly Ask the Experts about all things law firm marketing and business growth. I'm Mark Homer, author of Online Law Practice Strategy and founder of GNGF, Get Noticed, Get Found. And today, we are not in the GNGF studios. As you can see, I'm actually at home with my green screen. Like many of you, we've got our green screens to play with our virtual backgrounds on Zoom. So we are on a stay-at-home order here in Ohio, as well as many of people, I'm sure, around the country. And so we're doing our part to be fully remote, to stay inside and help flatten the curve right now. But this episode, I think it's actually a really good one, so be sure to watch it. But this episode was recorded a few weeks ago, right before all this kind of craziness and world changed for all of us. This episode's about virtual assistants and outsourcing, which is, I think, very apropos to a lot of things going on today in terms of being able to be virtual and thinking about a remote firm. And now that you've kind of realized you can, maybe taking advantage of some virtual assistant services where you can really help do some things for that, kind of the busy work in your law firm, but also get some of your time back. So Brad Stevens, who is going to be joining us here, he is with Outsource Access, and I met Brad as we're both part of the Entrepreneurs organization. And I met Brad because he speaks all over the world on outsourcing and how to take advantage of virtual assistants to help grow, entrepreneurs' business in the U.S., but also to give entrepreneurs, some time back in the day to do things that they really love. You can see I got a lot of notes here, and you'll see me kind of looking down here because I want to make sure I don't miss anything since I don't have my teleprompter that we usually have on GNGF Live. So as always, be sure to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe the page, and please subscribe to the actual page. Don't just hit the like button on the video. We still like that too, but subscribe to the page so you can be notified when new videos come live. And thanks to those of you who watch us on Facebook. We're getting a lot of great traction there, a lot of interaction. But we are working to build our YouTube subscriber base. So what we'd love for you to do is go to YouTube channel, which we'll put a note in the chat here. But go to our YouTube channel or go to gngf.tv, which will be able to take you to our YouTube channel very quickly. And just hit the subscribe button on the channel. We'd really appreciate that. And we're actually running a promotion right now to kind of do our way of giving back here. When we get to 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, we're going to give $500 in restaurant gift certificates. So we're going to go to a local restaurant, buy $500 worth of gift certificates from them, and deliver it to some of the frontline workers here in Cincinnati dealing with COVID, so the nurses and doctors and stuff at the hospitals. And when we hit 500 subscribers, we're going to give $2,500 in gift certificates. So we're going to, again, go to some local restaurants, buy gift certificates in bulk, again, really trying to help them be able to continue helping their staff, and then get those to the frontline workers who really need them because we know they're so busy working crazy hours right now, and just being able to have some gift cards so that maybe their family can just make it easier on them to kind of feed the family. I think that's the least we can do. But so please help us. You hitting the subscribe button gets $5 to this promotion. So, of course, we're always monitoring chat, and we monitor it not just now, but also after. If you're watching this beyond the live, we will monitor chat and comments and everything else, and we'll get back to you with any questions you have. Normally I would tell you right now where we're going to be going, so where you can see us next. So, usually I have a nice long list, but most of these things have been canceled and or moved. So instead, I want to let you know that on May 7th and 8th, we are going to be at, instead of in New Orleans, we are now going to be virtual at the Small Firm Bootcamp, Ernie's Small Firm Bootcamp. He was on a few episodes ago talking about it. Great conference, but it's going virtual now. So definitely check it out because it might be easier for you to attend and grab some knowledge. It's really focused on small to solo law firms and being able to take actionable information back to to do things in their firm, either on their own or the things they need to know if they're working with outside agency. So check that out. It's going to be May 7th and 8th. Again, we'll throw a link in there. And if you aren't following our page, you may not have noticed, but we did start a YouTube series called GNGF Tips on our YouTube channel. So please check it out. I'll throw a couple in the chat during the moderation here. In fact, Joe, if you could do that. If you're monitoring and listening to this right now, the Is SEO Dead, which we just released recently. That's a fun one, but it's it's about a very good topic, really about why you do need to be considering SEO. But I use the link bait title, Is SEO Dead, almost tongue in cheek. And then there's a really good one on ROI, getting an ROI using PPC. That one's got a lot of traction, a lot of people talking about that one. So check them out. New YouTube GNGF Tips video dropped every other Friday. So keep a lookout for those. Again, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get notified when those drop. And I think that's it. Let's get to our interview. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's get to the interview. Brad Stevens, thanks for joining me.
Excited to be here, Mark. Thank you, sir.
Haven't seen you in person since we were in Peru together, I think.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
It was a good time. It was a good time. We definitely ate our way through Peru. That was amazing food.
We may or may not have ridden unicorns, which made myself a hero to my daughter in a way you can't imagine.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I guess you need the picture to go with it. So yeah. We'll see if I can find that for the chat, just for everybody. And then I think I'll see you in South Africa in probably another month or so, right? Probably. Well, actually, later this month. Yeah.
Yeah, it all runs together these days. Yeah, down in Cape Town. Yeah, because I'm actually speaking in Kenya and in Bahrain actually before our global leadership conference in Cape Town. Yeah, it's gonna be a great one. You going on a safari? Did you plan one?
I did not. I'm just running there to help with the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. And then heading back home. I have to speak actually right after that because I'm going to New Orleans for a small firm boot camp.
Oh, nice.
Pretty much right after that. So I'm trying to make sure I can squeeze everything in and not have to be flying straight to a speaking engagement. But
a little sleep for jet lag.
Yeah. So, Brad, first of all, we met each other through Entrepreneurs Organization. But what inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
I was one of those kids that kind of grew up in an entrepreneurial kind of family. Kind of grew up with like a whiteboard like permanently hanging over the fireplace growing up, where there was constantly ideas flying around, and so I was inundated with it from an early age. And I share when I speak. I actually had remember Micro Machines, the little mini cars. I actually had like 600 of them. I asked them for like every birthday, every Christmas, and I carried them in Crown Royal bags in my 3rd grade class, and like had a full blown like Micro Machine rental business. My mom still has a folder. I have like the little like renter cards. I had like a VP of marketing in there. I remember, never forget her name's Winter Hawkins. So it was the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, honestly, it came from, my dad used to drive me to school every morning, and I mean, he would just talk about it, and I would ask him questions, and that's kind of what spawned it. And then I started a tutoring company actually in high school, and helped kids during the summers bridge the gap. They were trying to accelerate on science and math. So it's kind of always sort of in the blood for me. And then when I went to college, I was going to get a real job for a couple of years. And the company I was going to work for actually ended up going under right before I was supposed to start with them. So I had an option to take another offer or actually go ahead and start my entrepreneurial career. And that's kind of all I've done the last 20 years. And so I had a chance to start a number of businesses in different industries, and don't see myself turning back.
Awesome. So, this one, you're in Outsource Access now. Yep. So how did Outsource Access come about?
It was kind of born out of my last business. So my last business, completely sort of unrelated. We manufactured and distributed teeth whitening products all over the world. We had a beauty division, and we also had a dental division. And long story short, we had a product disaster happen with one of our products after we had shipped thousands of units, and it started leaking in purses and so forth all over the country, all over the world. And so I had to figure out how to get lean. Cash got tight, and so that's when I started learning about this whole outsourcing virtual workforce thing. I've been hearing about it. There was platforms called Elance and Odesk, which were the big ones back in the day that have folks that have done this stuff, and they merged. Upwork was one of the big platforms, and but literally it was to save my business really at that point, and to learn how to do this. And over a period of 6 months, I gathered my team, and we figured out how to do this. We had 50 people all over the world doing just incredible work, very fast, very low cost, and it blew my mind in terms of the perceptions that I had around all of this. Completely flipped the script. And so I got asked by a bunch of different entrepreneurs and organizations to kind of share how I was doing it. So we ended up exiting that business. I was actually encouraged, actually by my foreman EO that we're a part of, to launch a business around it. And so we created the name Outsource Access because large companies, Fortune 100, have been doing outsourcing for years, and most people think about manufacturing outsourcing or call center outsourcing. Actually, all the fundamental stuff inside a small to medium business can really be scaled using these resources. So my goal is to really make it accessible to the small to medium business, the entrepreneur, the busy professional, attorneys, obviously, and how they can access it, understand it, all the doubt, fears, and concerns they have, and make it a truly reliable, scalable solution within their business. Because this is where everything is going. The world's getting flatter. So now we focus on the highly competent, very vetted and trained VAs that are out of the Philippines is where we base out of, and I can share a little more about why. It's a very Americanized culture there, so you don't have the big culture gap, but you also have the economic benefits, super sharp individuals. And really, that's the cornerstone that I found in my business and for others, to get a highly trained, vetted VA, and then it kind of expands and builds from there. There are things you can add on and bolt on in addition to.
So something in the entrepreneur world we always talk about, and especially within EO, is like really understanding kind of like your why, as an entrepreneur, of your business, and then for your team and everything, why does your business exist? Why is this the passion that you're focusing on, or what you're trying to give to the world, right? And I've had a lot of my guests kind of talk about their why. So, what is your why?
Yeah, I mean, being born in an entrepreneurial type of family, that's all I know. It's all I've lived and breathed. And I've seen success even within our own family business, saw failure happen. And small to medium business in the U.S., 50% still fail the first year. 95% failed after the first 5 years. Because it's hard, creating and launching a business. And as we know, you can't go to a bank and even get a line of credit until you've had 2 years of tax returns with success. So it's like, well, so how do I get to that point, before I can actually grow, max out credit cards and everything else. So part of my passion around doing this is that ironically enough, when people see it on the surface, they think, oh, you're exporting jobs overseas and so forth. This is really actually helping save and support small to medium business, to get them access to resources and support, whether it's marketing, operations, and so forth, that can help survive in their business. I've had several companies come out of bankruptcy by being able to get access to these resources, and ironically enough, create more jobs in this country. There's this woman that I share a story on in my speaking that, literally was in bankruptcy, very, very close to it, and tried to launch a business to help senior citizens get paired for senior care facilities, and went the typical path, maxed out their credit cards, had to move back in with their parents, and saw me speak, learned how to engage all this stuff, and went from near bankruptcy to $500,000 in revenue in 18 months, and now employs 11 people in this country because of being able to grow that business. So, part of my big why is being able to, because small to medium business is 95% of our economy in this country. And if I can help impact and support small to medium business with these resources, and on the other side of the globe, I kind of started building a huge respect and appreciation with the culture there, creating jobs and opportunities for all of our staff in the Philippines. And then, I was inspired actually one day when my VA, I first brought her on, she said, we're making such good money here now because of this opportunity. She actually bought shoes and supplies for local children in villages in her country. Wow. And awesome. It inspired me. And so I said, well, if we ever launch a business around this, I want to create a foundation where we're a charitable movement where we actually take a percentage of what we do, and we buy shoes and educational supplies, and actually building plans to work on a public education center in the Philippines where we are. So it's kind of come full circle. It's helping small to medium businesses in our country survive and thrive, creating jobs and opportunities, and even further giving back into local communities across the board. So it's pretty cool. I've had a lot of business I've been involved in the last 20 years, but this is the most aligned I've ever felt as an individual and an entrepreneur, being able to have kind of impact in those different areas.
That's awesome. Well, I was going to ask you, and you probably answered a bunch of this, but wanted to understand a little bit more, because I know you've done a lot with the United Nations and sustainable goals and some of the stuff going there with how entrepreneurs are helping the United Nations solve a lot of bigger problems and stuff. So is this kind of how your company is able to kind of positively not just impact your employees and stuff, but the world? It's very interesting, and some of the conversations we've had about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually through a partnership that EO, the organization we're part of, partnered with the United Nations. And so, frankly, I didn't even know about this till I got involved. But everybody's familiar with the United Nations. But they developed this framework called the Sustainable Development Goals. There's 17 of them that basically touches all elements of the economy, humanity, to have kind of impact. And so they wanted help as far as further implementation and awareness. So it's a relationship EO built with United Nations for us at our local EO chapters and organization, to bring awareness, education. And so, yeah, I got a chance, one of the coolest opportunities in my life, I got a chance to go run a think tank at the United Nations headquarters because of some of the philanthropic efforts and what we've developed, particularly around SDG number 8, which is economic growth and decent work for all. And so because of that, I got an opportunity to participate. And so now within EO, we're looking at helping, because entrepreneurs are the best people to go to when you want to get something done and executed. And so, outside the US, actually, in Europe and many other countries, like the SDGs are very formally known. I mean, you walk into a bathroom that's using a sustainable initiative on water, there's a plaque outside of like which SDG it relates to. So it's just bringing awareness and education to the US and other countries.
Yeah, it's actually really fascinating. We'll get a link in there, and we'll put the SDG goals. There's a cool website on the United Nations for that, and I like you, I learned a lot about it. As we've talked about it and gone online and researched, and some of the things I've seen at EO. But there's a lot of things that within our company we're trying to say, hey, how do we do things that kind of match up to this? And it's a really cool initiative, and I think that to your point, I have recognized it more internationally than here in the U.S. So hopefully there's get more education around it, because it's not saying, hey, government needs to solve all the problems. It's here's the big problems. How can you help as a individual or as a business, as whatever. So that part of it I really liked.
One thing I'll add to it that's interesting that changes the mindset of entrepreneurs. A lot of times when we think about give back and impact and social, is that it's this like tax deductible line item that you do every year, right? Versus the actual fundamental change. It can make an impact in the business, even from a bottom line standpoint. I mean, it's the right thing to do, and I'm motivated and passionate to do what we're doing. But it's had amazing positive financial impact. I mean, the retention of our employees because of what we're doing and the impact we're having in the community. I mean, people want to work for companies that are doing these kind of things. I mean, we've won a lot of business and people choosing us to get their virtual assistants because of the work that they've seen that we've done. Actually, a big national franchise we're working with, saw some of that. And so it's getting people to change their mindset too, that it's not just this, hey, it's the feel good thing. You got to go, write a check to a charity, but a fundamental change it can make in your business and the bottom line impact it can have.
Awesome. Well, I want to jump gears here or switch gears here and go to talk specifically around, virtual assistants and freelancers and stuff, and how they can apply to law firms and lawyers and stuff. Because in other interviews we talked about, like we've had somebody who actually has built an outsourcing platform just for lawyers to help other lawyers, and that's a fascinating one with Law Clerk. We did a Facebook Live with Kristen from there, and that was something a lot of people don't even realize exists, right? But there's a whole host of things, whether it's outsource calling to virtual assistants like you guys work with that can take over like whole operational pieces of back office work and things. So tell me some examples or things where virtual assistants have worked with like law firms or lawyers that you've seen or maybe you even done.
Yeah, and attorneys and law firms, they're small businesses, small to medium businesses, just like a lot of others, and they deal with a lot of the exact same kind of constraints and challenges, whether it's customer service, operations, marketing, and so forth. So a lot of the common things that are shared across any small business, right? As far as, everything from reception and answering phone calls to managing, chat and customer support on their websites. People don't realize that 30 to 40% of people would much rather chat on the website than pick up the phone and call you or fill out your contact us form. There's so much money lost in the warm lead opportunities by people that land on your website and you don't have a way to engage them, and very affordable having a VA that can help manage that. all the marketing functions, collateral, brochure, website maintenance and management. I mean, so many people have websites that they wish they, I mean, they're getting testimonials. Man, I wish we had time to get that uploaded. Or, we got this great raw footage from a client, had a great experience with this, right? But how do we get that edited and so forth? I mean, people think that costs thousands of dollars. I mean, we do it for 30 or 40 bucks, a professional quality video edited. Website maintenance and upkeep. Even LinkedIn is a great, outreach and marketing tool and resource. And for a lot of attorneys too, it's about partnering with people that can be good referral resources, right? So I've actually got a full-time VA that does nothing but live in my LinkedIn account all day long. And all we do is actually, it's kind of this, we call it a virtual online ambassador. So actually I equip them with a list of all of our blogs that we've written and they're categorized by pain point as it relates to VAs. And they'll log in and go find where people are having conversations around those challenges and paste specific links to drive them back to our website, to our blog. And the same thing like with attorneys, right? If they specialize, I was talking to a woman the other day that specializes in immigration law, and that's all that they do. And there's tons of online communities where there's lots of chatter. Well, she can't be in all those communities, but a VA can, representing her firm, and go in and provide links and inbound, because it's all about being education, just like what you're doing with this whole, initiative in this recording. It's about education first. Just research, especially like research and doing back-end research where law, certain cases are concerned, going in and getting background information, helping with discovery processes. There's tons of just research elements that are done by outsourced resources. And then other things as far as just even billing and chasing down receivables. That's a lot of times as far as chasing down receivables and the administrative, part of that. It's a lot of things that are common grounds, shared in small to medium businesses, but some things that are unique to the industry that can support them with.
Yeah, and I want to make sure you talk a little bit about this, because this is something that was very eye-opening to me not even a year ago, and I think because of that, and I went on and did some more investigation, and I now use a virtual assistant, to full transparency through Outsource Access. So thank you, but. You talked about how, because a lot of people think, oh, Philippines, and it's like, $8, $10, $11 an hour resource, which is less than I have to pay an intern, here in Ohio, So, like what kind of quality am I getting for $8, $10, $11 an hour? And, I want them to like replace kind of like you said, be an ambassador replacement of you online, right? Or whatever that you have them doing. And, you kind of open my eyes to, well, $8 to $12 over there is actually significant, like 8 to 10 times higher than minimum wage or something. I mean, it's the equivalent of like, some high salary that you were telling me. So tell me more about that, because I think that was something that I'd like other people to understand, because it's a big misconception, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and when I speak on this stuff, I get a chance, similar to yourself, as far as speaking all over the world, entrepreneurs and business groups and all kinds of different industry categories. And I call them DFCs, the doubt, fears, and concerns, related to this whole idea of outsourcing and engaging resources. So, and I had the same ones, as far as when I first started engaging the approach. But it starts, I mean, the Philippines, and I'll share kind of people don't realize I typically group it into the rest of Southeast Asia. But what makes a difference, and the people that have had, more of a culture gap experience, is that the Philippines was actually, controlled by the U.S. up until 1947. So it's completely Americanized culture, American education system. English is their second language. You walk down the streets and there's Starbucks and Longhorns. So there's not nearly the kind of the culture gap there. They have a huge focus on education within their entire country, and is the American education system they typically follow. But economically, yeah, minimum wage is still $1 over there, right? And so when you pay these folks, anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on skill level, dollars per hour, they're making more money they've ever made in their life. And a lot of them, I mean, big Fortune 100 companies have been using the Philippines for a long time, but for call centers, because there's not nearly as much of an accent there. But I've heard $1.50, $1.75 per hour. They can go make way more than that. They can go work with entrepreneurs all over the world and support them. So, it's what I call the sweatshop perception a lot of people have is, well, how can you pay these people so low, but also still get such great work? And just, I mean, in the U.S., we have a strong currency, and it still has a major impact as far as what it can buy in other countries and competency and ability. But I mean, my VA, I mean, she's, Lean Six Sigma certified. She's certified in project management. She got actually certified in Toastmasters International in her local town there. And these are all the things that I had a certain perception of, like, kind of a third world country perception, and what are they going to kind of understand and get what I want. And that's what inspired me to launch this business, is I had an experience that completely exceeded my expectations. I mean, everything from what I thought was a VA to kind of lightly manage my email, maybe do a little bit of calendar management when I kind of waded my toe into this, to now she's my VP of operation of nearly 100 people. Right? And that's a massive gap, and doing an incredible job, and has now built a whole 10-person management team. So the perception is a little different right now. We still, in the VA that's going to plug in and work side by side within a business and take on and manage administrative and operational functions and feel like an extension of your organization, is kind of what we focused on. Now, there's still a lot of like tactical skill-based stuff that I'll talk about, right? I mean, video editing or graphic design or web development and so forth. So we actually use a lot of other countries for that as well, where the VA still kind of plays that main quarterback role in that interface with our clients. But then if, a client 3 months from now needs a video edited, they can tap one of our video editors that may be in a different country, but the Philippines allows that very small culture gap and engagement. And as far as getting stuff out of people's head, that's the other challenge people have. So
I'm gonna pause you for a second, because we're running out of time on our Facebook Live.
Okay.
But I do want to cover that. So if you'd stick around for maybe another 10-15 minutes, we can
Sure.
talk about some more like specific tips and tactics, like of how to maximize a VA, especially knowing, me as an entrepreneur, time starved, right? Well, a lawyer entrepreneur is incredibly more time starved, because they're also like having to go to court and meet with client, right? I mean, just other things they have going on. So I want to talk about that. I would love to talk about all this fast growth you've had. I mean, how you actually went from 3 to 100 employees in a few months, right? So I think that would be fascinating to talk about. So if you can stick around for just a few minutes, we can talk about that. That'd be awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay. So before we wrap up, though, where can people find you online?
So you go to outsourceaccess.com, and you go to outsourceaccess.com/GNGF. We actually got a great set of resources there. We actually have a tool that all of our folks love when I go speak for events, called our Top 200 Tools. And then go and download that there. And then we've got over 200 tools to automate and delegate, within your life and your business. And have a recording there, actually, a 1-hour recording of a keynote that I did, where I show on a screen a bunch of step-by-step case studies. Because I can talk about this stuff in generalities and kind of limited time, but I go through step-by-step examples and show what was the challenge and how they integrated these resources and used it step-by-step, that we'll include as part of that. So they go to that URL and check it out. And then we'll provide in the show notes kind of links to all of our social media handles and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check it out.
And so we'll go into, if you stick around, we'll go into like detail on some of those top things on the, like, but if people don't have time to come watch, we'll release that on Friday this week. But if they don't have time, grab the tools, and you go into all kinds of detail in that kit. So that's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me and sticking around with me, Brad. So just hang on a second. Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page so you'll get notified when our next episode goes live. And so we're going to keep going here in the GNGF studio. So be sure to check out the extended interview with Brad that will drop on Friday, where I'm going to dive into some of these tactics he's getting ready to talk about, as well as how he grew from 3 employees to over 100 in just a few months. So you'll definitely want to check out that video. Okay, let's get back to the interview. Thanks for sticking with us, Brad.
Sure.
So I kind of cut you off there when you were starting to dive into some of the ways to kind of like dive into working with a virtual assistant when you are time starved, as a lot of entrepreneurs and especially lawyer entrepreneurs are. You were going to go into a few things there. I know we talked about some earlier before the recording, so I wanted to make sure we hit some of these. So what are some of these top tips to kind of like tactics, tips, whatever you want to call them?
Well, one of the biggest challenges people have is like, well, where do I start? How do I begin? Right? How am I going to figure out what a VA can even do for me and so forth? Mm-hmm. So part of like what we've added in our process, we have a whole assessment that we kind of help extract out of your brain and kind of walk you through step by step and kind of how our model works. And a couple of the tools that we use in the process that have been game changers for me is one tool called Screencast-O-Matic. There's another one called Loom. So a lot of people have done Zoom, where you can share a screen together live, but you both got to be on the screen together, or sharing like a live, a screen on Skype or what have you. But Screencast-O-Matic, it's pretty cheap. I mean, it's only like $60 or $70 a year, but you click a button and it lets you record your screen, your voice, and your mouse. And you can explain whatever you want to explain on there, right? Whether you're explaining people how to log into your platforms, your systems, and how to do things, whether you want to give feedback that they just did a brochure for you and want to kind of quickly explain. and you're done. You click a button, and it quickly uploads, creates a link, and if you want, you can put a password on it. But otherwise, you send the link, and they can watch the video. And I know it sounds really simple, but the difference is anybody that's tried to explain a process or a protocol or share, right? We get lazy when we go to type things out, right? Or people that have done like screenshots and they put them in a Word document, put a bunch of arrows and text boxes. Like people think that that's what it's going to be, and they're lazy about the process, so they won't do it at all, right? When you can just click a button and quickly record your screen, it's easier to do, so people are more likely to do it. But secondly, you'll explain things with the nuances of your voice that you won't take time to explain in bullet points or write out. And so it makes a big difference that you can easily, and when we work with clients like we require them actually do all their protocols that way. And they're saved in videos too. So now you got a playbook going as well. So anytime you work with a VA to kind of take on those things, you save those videos, and then you got an ongoing sort of playbook that you can go back and reference, going forward. So that makes a big difference of getting things out of your head and communicate it over. That tends to be a struggle for a lot of folks. And
yeah, that one was, eye-opening for me in terms of like the process. I mean, I used to, and we're big on process here at GNGF, and like we document a lot of things, and we've got project management systems for stuff, which that stuff's great, but kind of communicating, here's kind of what I'm thinking, or what I really liked was when I'm reviewing something, like just, instead of like marking up or trying to type everything in a Word document, just communicating it. It's a lot faster. I'm getting, so I'm now not spending as much of my time. I'm getting, I think, a better understanding, faster turnaround, all by just doing the screen recordings. I liked it so much that we had outsourced our bookkeeping not too long ago. So I started using it with my bookkeeper now, where I'll say, hey, I noticed this thing, and I'll just pull up and start recording a screencast and send it to her. So now we don't have to get on a phone call that often. Where it used to have like this, every other week I had to make sure this time to this time I was available to go over stuff with her. Now, we just send stuff back and forth on video, and like she's within the States, like a outsourced bookkeeper, but like the tool and technology has been working great for that. So that's been a big time saver for me as an entrepreneur. So that one's been great. And in terms of the quality, working with you guys, the process was I went through that assessment, right? And you kind of walked through and saying, okay, based on the stuff I was looking for, you said, well, here's the type of resource we're gonna look for you, and provided a couple of different resource options. And like our virtual assistant is, he's like full college degree in marketing, and has worked in the industry in marketing and sales. His pedigree was somebody that like I would hire full time if they were in Cincinnati, right? Like that
Right.
quality. So, and this person's across the world, and significant savings for the company. And a lot of the things that he's been doing has been saving a lot of time for me. So things like scheduling these Facebook Lives, right?
Right. It's what I call like, and yeah, and that's, when I decided to launch this business, I wanted to do it based on what I saw were a lot of the failure points, in other companies or processes and so forth. And on both sides of the equation, a lot of times I saw it fail because, on the user side, that people just sort of, they just sort of want to throw up on a VA and expect them to sort of absorb and figure it all out. Like there's a process to extract out, organize, and help you kind of step into this process. And as you saw, after the first 30, 45 days, you get a feel for it, because you can tell people how great this is all day long, but it's not until they start working with that resource and they had the same kind of aha like I did with my VA, that it sort of naturally unfolds. And then on the other side, we do IQ testing, emotional intelligence testing, DISC profile testing. It's just like if you were to hire someone local in your city there, you wouldn't. Funny enough, like when people see our process, like we've had a lot of people adopt and ask us all the tests we use, because they start using it to hire their local staff, because they don't actually put people through the same process that they hire locally, and for some reason they think they would do it differently. So we put together a whole profile so they can get full clarity of who that person is, and make sure that it's a fit, and then go through that process of onboarding. And the cool thing too about the screencasting is it eliminates a lot of what people fear about the time zone differences, right? So like, the Philippines is 12 hours off from Eastern Standard Time, where we are in Atlanta, but using that screencast recording, can send it over, they can watch it anytime. You don't have to have live meetings a lot of times, because a lot of the work they do can be done at any time, but there are, if they have to work local hours, they can, but it kind of helps bridge that gap.
Yeah, we started off thinking, oh, we need somebody local hours. And one of the key things and this was really hard for me to do, was give up my email. And give up my email. I still go and do but now I like process my email. I don't live in email. And It's because, and I really quickly realized that, oh, you know what? the time zone difference was actually perfect because I kind of wrapped up my day and went on, and then I'd come in the morning and a whole bunch of my emails were sorted and organized as to, hey, here's things I think you really need to worry about, and here's things that I've already filed for you. Don't even worry about looking at these, and hey, here's all these newsletters that I know you like to look at, but they're in another folder for you. And then we even created a folder of here's things I'm probably going to delete, but double check them. I mean,
Right.
it just it streamlined my time. I'm in email like for maybe 2 hours a day, actively working on things as opposed to just skimming through stuff, getting overwhelmed, and then shutting it down. I mean, the amount of time I used to spend looking at my phone, right, like just constantly on email. Now it's like I just go to one folder. It's the stuff I'm that they think is urgent for me, and work on that. So it's been great.
Yeah, email is just, we joke around about it, but it really is a debilitating thing, and there's actually an amazing hot book I highly recommend everybody called Indistractable that I just finished recently, Indistractable, and an incredible set of tools and framework on how to think about, because it's in today's world, it's whoever can manage distraction best is who wins. At the end of the day, I mean, we're just inundated, and email is one of those things, and we get those endorphin hits of being able to see it and review it and so forth. We can suck you in, and so that's one of the first thing I had my VA do for me, and we went through a week audit process, bucketed it out, and so now I have just a Brad reply folder, and that's where I try to operate purely is the stuff that I just need to reply that we don't have a process and protocol, because most all your email falls into different buckets. Everybody thinks that it's I have to respond to everything. If you really go through it, you can bucket it. You can create kind of auto replies and so forth. And then Calendly, which is a tool we use,
Same.
you guys use the same.
Calendly as well.
Cannot recommend that enough to everybody about it being able to have an automatic, link system to be able to book calls instead of having to play the back and forth. When are you available? When are you available? Right? People can book on it, and creates intelligence. So if you get a VA manage your email, that's something we require with our clients too, is that they get Calendly. It's only like $10 a month, super low cost. But I mean, that tool alone, it easily has hundreds of thousands of dollars of impact, within a business and streamlining process.
And we could probably go on, because I think you have 200 tools in your thing in there. I mean, it's you cover all kinds of project management, like Trello, Asana. Like we use Teamwork PM. We love Teamwork PM at GNGF here, and like our templates and everything. So we already were thinking templatized things. So now it's been kind of just inserting the virtual assistant just like we would another resource, right, at the company. So it's been great for us, and I just knew that for law firms, I hear them talking about virtual assistants a lot, but it tends to be looking at the company that takes over maybe legal call handling or live chats and stuff, because they have some like legal knowledge and stuff. So there's some specific things there, but all the other things to like helping process all the practice management things that can be done behind the scenes, follow up with clients, taking over people's email. There's just a host of things that law firms can be taking advantage of. And a lot of times, like you said, a lot of law firms I talk to are the kind of struggling entrepreneur saying, hey, I graduated law school. I decided to open my own law firm. And, I didn't get taught to go be an entrepreneur. I taught to be a lawyer, right? And I almost accidentally didn't realize I am an entrepreneur, but now I am. So what do I do? And so, like there's some stats out there that are really scary of law firms who struggle to make enough money to pay their mortgage, let alone take home some money for their family and stuff. And so, the fact that virtual assistants and stuff can help a law firm be able to kind of like focus on scaling, focus on providing a great service, which is the best thing a law firm can do. Provide great service, you'll get great referrals, which leads to more business and grow. But it's what's the back office look like? If the back office isn't organized, you're not going to get the good reviews. You're not going to get the good referrals, because it'll just seem to happenstance.
Yeah, reviews is another great one that VAs can do, is go on there and just go on and post and provide feedback as far as on different review sites in the process. But
responding for like hey, thank you for leaving a review, or even maybe following up with people and saying, hey, you mentioned you would leave a review, just wanted to remind you, and just following up people to get a review is because people will typically give you a review, they just forget and get busy, right? So having somebody just reach out consistently and say, hey, leave me a review. I mean, we have number of law firms that have used outsourced resources to just email and follow up with people, and have gone from like having like 5 or 10 reviews to like 100 reviews within a year, which in legal world, 100 reviews, that's not a lot in a restaurant, but that's a lot for a law firm, and that's a big difference of like 10, 15, 20 reviews, then you have 100. there's a big perception there, right? So,
No, it can be a game changer, especially in an industry where you're swapping time for dollars, right? I mean, they have no choice but to scale and find efficiencies in the process.
so I wanted to make sure I asked this question because this one is fascinating to me. You, and we've talked a little bit about it, but I really wanted people to hear kind of like how you were able to grow. I mean, you had like 3 employees, and now you have over 100, and that's been like months that it seems like this has happened. So, like, how did you get that scale so fast? And then how do you actually maintain balance in your personal life with all this?
Yeah, a lot going on in both arenas these days. But yeah, I mean, part of scaling this business, when you decide to pull the trigger, and as I shared, there was some foundation and some research in the process. The first phase of this business was I spent a lot of time working with entrepreneurs and businesses, and I would have these whole 4-hour workshops and analyze and interview other staff and figure out what all their constraint points were. And it was a lot of intelligence for me to kind of figure out where are the challenges and issues that people are dealing with, to decide what did I want to launch. Did I want to launch a specific industry-based solution, or be a call center, or be a bookkeeping service, or what have you. And so a lot of times seeing and studying what worked well and what didn't work well with other teams. And honestly, it was just seeing the confidence I had in my own team in the Philippines. That we started with literally JCell, my very first VA, and then I hired her boyfriend, actually, was my second one, and I hired a third and the fourth. And when I went and visited over there, and I visited 20 facilities over 5 days, and to kind of see the whole footprint and so forth, that's when we decided to pull the trigger. And honestly, it's just practicing what I preach, if you will. I mean, to be able to scale that fast, it's about putting systems and processes in place that allows us to bring people on and train them, onboard them in a very methodical type of way. The other thing too, Mark, I'll say is that it's just, relative to some of the challenges in the US with staff and onboarding and retention, is they're so appreciative. And when you invest in culture over there, and I feel like sometimes in the US, well, we got bean bags and razor scooters and pool tables, and people just still don't feel quite happy enough, right? With our team, I mean, we invest heavily in them individually, their personal growth, their development. I mean, we rented out a whole hotel for our Christmas party and bought presents for all their children. We're investing in their community with our Virtual Assistants Get Back program. We're launched a whole Virtual Success magazine, a digital magazine over there, celebrating the profiles of our VAs. So by investing in them and the culture, it's helped us attract talent and attract high quality folks, so that we can bring people in that can be successful very quickly with our clients. And I do a ton of speaking, as far as like the sales side. I mean, you got two sides. You got kind of the demand side of clients and also the supply side on the VAs. And, that's part of what's helped is, I mean, speaking, as you well know, I mean, being able to
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to go and share your voice in a one-to-many relationship. Being a thought leader and being passionate as I am about this, has generated a lot of opportunity. And again, practicing what I preach. I mean, I have VAs purely online, posting tons on social, just on thought leadership and rippling out, and people seeing to be the go-to person when it comes to VAs and outsourcing. And referrals have just been tremendous. I mean, word of mouth, when you deliver well, I mean, it just tends to happen. So it's good systems and processes, treating people properly so you attract the right talents, you get good people wanting to work for you, and then leveraging our own marketing and speaking and so forth to drive the demand side. And I'm we actually just brought on a guy that we're working with right now that, I mean, managed thousands and thousands of people over there for actually AT&T and Apple, I believe, are the companies he had worked with. That just brought on as an operations director. And as we know in EO, right, I'm trying to learn from all the head beating I experienced in my 20s and 30s. And so I'm trying to keep operations ahead of sales and proactively bring people on, because we're looking to maybe grow to a couple thousand people in the next year and bring our model, to the U.S. We actually got clients in Europe and
Mm-hmm.
Africa and Australia and stuff that we're working with as well. So
That's awesome. So how are you maintaining the balance then? Because I know you have young kids and the whole family thing going on, and you're traveling, and you're building a company that's mostly staffed in the Philippines. How do you manage to maintain some balance here?
well, I mean, I had a conversation with my wife last year. I was like, look, and this is an expansion cycle. I actually learned that phrasing from one of my forum mates in EO, that he has that same conversation with his wife. It's like, all right, honey, this is going to be an expansion cycle. So we're both going to be on board with, look, this is going to be a little crazy, but there's going to be a release valve on the other side. And so the good thing is that when my travel comes in spurts. When I am at home, I am working at home, right? And I'm super intentional. And I usually take my daughter to daycare every morning, and I'm usually shutting things off at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and making dinner and cooking and with the family. So the time that I do have, I'm very, very intentional about it. With with the kids and with my wife. And yeah, so we got a 4-year-old and a just turned 6 month actually today, 6 month old. And my wife's absolutely amazing. I mean, she was a teacher for 13 years, and we decided to have her kind of quit, and she wanted to stay home with the kids, and so that certainly allowed for the home front flexibility. But practicing again what I preach, I mean, VAs have been a huge part of taking on the load personally. We had some pretty crazy things happen in our house last year, and we had to rip out drywall and deal with some different changes as far as renovations that we were doing. And so actually my VAs, I would just shoot videos of stuff, and they would then take the videos and then go post on Home Advisor and Angie's List and so forth, and help find resources. And even my watch was broken. I took a picture of it and sent it to JCell, and she researched and found the facility online to do the repair documentation, and logged into UPS and created the shipping label for me. So I found ways to integrate them into my personal life, even vacation planning and so forth, to truly, help support. And I tell you, one thing I'll share tactically with everybody too, and something my wife and I have tried to do is every Sunday is having a family meeting. We don't have it every Sunday. We try to, but we we do it in our businesses all day long. But a lot of times, as with kids and crazy, you're like passing ships in the night, and things are going nuts with the kids and so forth. So having that Sunday meeting that's, literally agenda driven. We sit down and kind of go through and have categories. Let's talk about financial stuff. Let's talk about travel stuff. Let's talk about planning. And it creates a place that things that would normally fall through the cracks, we can focus on and make sure that we, cover together.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've been doing that for a while, and I'm on the other side of the kids, right? So I have a 17 and 15-year-old, and like the 17-year-old he's got a job. He tells his boss, like, I can't, Sunday nights, I can't work. He's like, and he knows he's got to be there. We do dinner and then compare calendars, and calendar's a little bit crazier now because they're telling me their calendars and putting using the shared calendar more than I am with when they're working, what school activities are going on, and but that has been great in kind of keeping us all on the same page, especially similar to you. Family. I travel a lot. My wife also travels a lot for her job, so. Keeping all that straight, that family meeting, or that kind of, we call it family game nights. We all typically play a game of cards afterwards or something like that. But there's like kind of understanding of, hey, we're going to talk about the schedule for the week, and then we'll play some games, So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been again, we fall through the cracks sometimes on it with travel, but we try and keep that, front and center, and that kind of keeps us engaged in the process. And I'll tell you something I learned from my foreign mates in EO too, is just having vacations planned for the year as much as we can, having those slots so that we can both look forward to that. Because I feel like happiness is so much a lot of times about having something to look forward to. So we try to always plan ahead and know that we got that thing coming up, or that week. We did Florida a couple weeks ago, and we're going to Disney with the kids in a week and a half. So that's one good thing about working virtually, is I can kind of be wherever. So we try and plan ahead on that to look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sticking with us, and we got pretty much a whole nother Facebook Live level of stuff here. So thanks for diving into this detail. This was a great episode. So we have a lot of things to put in the show notes and in the chat and stuff with links here. So we'll make sure all those are in there, and if not, we'll get them in the show notes afterwards. But thanks again, Brad, and it's been great talking to you.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks for having me, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page so you'll get notified when our next episode goes live.
Hey, what's up? I'm Josh. Thanks so much for joining us. If you feel like you learned something today, think of how beneficial it would be to chat with myself or another one of our marketing consultants one-on-one. Go ahead and visit our website to schedule your free consultation. It only takes a minute.